Hey, it's Biddy Penny, and today I'm working with Scrappy Tails. So I have a few products here that I cannot wait to show you what I made and how to use them. So this is the A7 Book Pop-Up die, and you get both of those dies. And then this is the Fairy Botanicals Stamp set. It is just so super precious. And then this is the Cobblestone Slimline. So these are the products I'm using today. And I made a mini album and a book pop-up. So this plate here that comes with the A7 book pop-up, as soon as I saw it, I knew it solved my mini album dilemma. I've been wanting to turn out a lot of mini albums, and I wanted to use this kind of accordion spine, but I didn't want to have to score the paper every time and figure out all the dimensions and all the things. This does it for me. I don't even have to think about it. And here's my spine. So now you could glue as many of these together to get as many pages as you want in your mini album, but I just wanted one. And then I would suggest that you trim it down to the size you desire first. So this is 7 inches long. I'm using 6 by 6 dimensions to make my mini album, so I just needed to trim off an inch. Probably it'd be best to do that. Definitely it'd be best to do that before you fold it, but hey. So now I just pulled out an old paper pad from my stash that is just Maggie Holmes. It's just beautiful. And I am going to trim this down. So the way I chose to make mine today is to do 6 by 12 inch sheets of paper. But you could also very easily use 6 by 6 pieces of paper. You don't have to do 6 by 12. Like if you're trying to get rid of your 6 by 6 paper pads, I get it. Just you can make it work. So, but I wanted to do it this way because I wanted pockets. So I'm going to fold this in half on the 12-inch side. So now I have a 6 by 6 because that's going to be the size of my album. And then I'm going to glue it on the sides of this piece right here. So this, when you just cut this out once, you're going to get enough to glue 4, if you wanted to do it this way, pocket pages inside your album. And the fold on the outside, that is for your cover. So you need to leave those and just go for these peaks here. And then you can just glue it down. And then here, I'm going to just add a little glue at the bottom so that the recipient can tuck things in the top. And I just used a punch to put in a thumb hole. Makes getting things in and out of those pockets much easier. And now I'm just sealing up the bottom. Now on the back here, I'm just going to go ahead, now that I have one in place, I'm going to go ahead and glue all of these together on the back side. And then what that's going to give me is 3 peaks on the inside of my spine to glue the other 3 pages to. So I know that this album is going to be very sturdy because it's going to be secured on both sides. So now that I have that part done, I will open it back up after I just burnish it a little bit more here, really wanting to make sure everything's really stick in there. Then I'll go ahead and add my other sheets. So things you want to pay attention to are directional paper. I only used 1 sheet of directional paper in this album today. It was the music sheet, but all the others didn't really matter. So that made it super quick and simple. So you just want to pay attention to something like that as you're gluing them in here. So this is the basic construction. I can tell you that, especially using this already scored and perfectly cut spine, I was able to put this portion of my journal together in like 15 minutes. That was including all the cutting. I timed myself. That includes all the cutting and everything. So Now, I will tell you, this is not what the dies are designed to do. I have a card coming up for you in this video where you're going to get to see what these dies are actually designed to do. But this is just what came to mind and what I had to make. And it worked perfectly for it. So now I would suggest that before you punch your holes, that you line them up. Like, I'd get all my paper in first and then go through and punch the holes and line them up. But I had to fix it after the fact and it all worked out. Okay, so here are the pages and pockets for the inside of my book. I'm just showing you here. It is a 6x6 album. It's so clean, so easy. I'm so excited. So now comes the fun part of decorating, and then we'll put the covers on. So this is the Cobblestone Slimline die. I was so excited about this die because of things like this. Like, well, no, I know it'll make beautiful slimline cards, but like, I think it's just a beautiful detail. So like in this mini album, I really wanted to use it as my pockets. It almost comes across as like a lace of sorts. And so I used this as pockets. Now, what I was able to do was cut this down and glue it on 3 sides for the pocket of this side, and then that extra piece I used for tag pockets. So I just cut it out twice and was able to get 4 pockets out of it. I'm watercoloring the Fairy Botanicals to match my paper and just love how they came out. So I used my vintage pastels and they're so soft and sweet, just lovely. So those are going to be the theme of my album. Now I also die cut out some assorted leaves. So these are dies from from Scrappy Tails as well, sorry. And so I'm just incorporating all of these things for the decorations of the album. Here I'm just going to kind of line this up and eyeball where I should put the glue. I'm also kind of going a little bit sparingly with the glue because I don't want it too much of it to come out and seal my pocket, which is also why I put that notebook paper in there just to keep it from sticking to the back. Now this glue is fantastic because after it dries, it's completely matte. You can't see it at all if you get a little extra, and it's not sticky when it dries. So I don't have to worry. As long as I get the excess off right away, I don't have to worry about anything sticking later. So I added, more pockets, tags, and journaling spots. And I'm just going to kind of show you the design for one of a couple of the pages, and then we'll move on to the card. So here I'm using the assorted leaves, and I just thought that made a nice little detail there between those 2 pieces. I had so much fun making this album, you guys. I made this album in 2 hours. That was with all the watercoloring, cutting. At the time, I did not have the dies for the stamp set, but because I loved coloring it so much and I loved the images so much, I did go ahead and pick up the dies, and I'm really excited because the dies cut out all the nitty-gritty around the images, which is fantastic because when I fussy cut, I don't get to the nitty-gritty. How about you guys? So I absolutely love them. They cut really close to the images and they cut so clean. And I know I'll pull for this stamp set quite a bit with the images that are in it. Plus it has some fantastic sentiments. So I'm really happy to have both in my stash. Here I am just going to go ahead and commit to my layout and add everything in. Again, I'm doing kind of matted layers for my journaling spots in the album. Now, the recipient's also going to be able to add journaling in a lot of different places. So you'll see in my final flip through all the places. So even though there's really like 10 pages in this album, there's actually a ton of potential for how much memory keeping or, dreams, thoughts, plans that people can put in this album. So I'm just bringing in a little bit of embellishments from my stash. These were recently gifted to me. And this green lace I thought went perfectly with my adorable frog there. And I really wanted this album to have, a very botanical and whimsical touch to it. And I just felt like these images were very dreamy. So I know the recipient is going to really enjoy this. I made this with someone in mind, so I can't wait till she receives it because I know she's going to love it. Okay, so let's jump into the covers. So again, this is a 6x12 sheet of paper that I folded in half. And now this time, what I'm gonna do is use that last final flap, which is singular from the die, and I'm just gonna glue that down to one side. Now I'm gonna add glue all here along that edge as well as along all of this paper. You could make this a tuck spot as well if you really wanted to, but I really just wanted it to be the cover. And I'm just gluing all that together to make it even more enforced, if you will. And now I'll do the exact same thing to the back cover. And I just think this is gotta be one of the easiest ways to make a mini album. Lots of us have 6x6 paper, or we have 12x12. Those are very common sizes. And just with this one die, you get your whole construction done. And I just love it. I'm so excited. So there is my front and back cover. I chose to have matching papers. Of course, you could use different papers if you wanted to, but I like the continuity of it. Now, I did decide to cover the spine, but you wouldn't have to. I like the way it looks even without covering the spine. So I had to measure the spine to know. Now, I measured it thinking about 1/2 inch. I wish I would have given it just a little more room. But it'll be okay. So I cut my paper down to 1 inch, and then I'm gonna score it at 1/4 and 3/4 to give me that 1/2 inch mark. So you'll see here. All right, so I just fold those, and now when I add the glue, this is important. When you add the glue, you only want to put the glue on the parts that are going to be on the front and the back of the covers. You don't want it in that middle part, right? So make sure you leave that part unglued, because you need the flexibility, you need the movement. It's like a hinge, so you want that middle part on the spine without glue. All right, so now we'll have a nice hinged journal there. And I'm going to show you just real quick how I decorated the front, and then we're going to jump into the card. I really wanted to give you guys the construction and a little decorating because that's fun. You know, the fun thing, I know most of the people who watch my channel right now are card makers, but the fun thing about making a mini album is that you can use all the same supplies that you would use in card making, so you don't have to, get a whole new stack of supplies. You can use the things you already have. And like for an album like this, it's just kind of like making 10 cards all in one item, right? So like if you think of each page as almost like a card design, then yeah, it's kind of like just making 10 cards. But then it turns out to be an adorable journal or album. I definitely encourage you to give a try. It's fun to use our supplies in a new and unexpected way. So now this is a delicate die, but I just made sure that I glued every little piece of it down really well, and it is good to go. Okay, let's jump into the card I keep talking about. So this is what the die was designed to do. It's designed to make a book pop-up with like a shadow box on the inside. Okay, so that you get the cover, you get the plate that we just used for the spine of our album, and you get a lot of really cool detailed extras with it. So here I'm just going to show you real quick how I assembled it because I did it wrong. If you want very clear and awesome directions for this, definitely check out Sabrina at Scrappy Tails. Check out her channel. She makes a few of these. She gives you all the details. And if you order the item, she actually will send you specific cutting instructions and things like that. But I wanted to show you, in case you're like me and you just jump into things, that it still works. So basically, you need to cut out 4 of those plates like this, the accordion ones. And then you need to cut it down to the size that you want. Okay, so I made this A7, which is 5 by 7, which is the way the dies come to you. The cool thing is you can cut the cover down, you can cut these things down, and you could make a 4 by 4, you could make an A2, so you're not locked into a 5 by 7, but I have actually been really enjoying a 5 by 7. So you got to cut down these 4 panels into the 2 different sizes that you need, right? Length and width. And then you interlock them like this, and you should have a tight corner like that when you have them together. And what you want to do is just flip up the top side of each one of these, like I'm doing here, and then you tape one down at a time. I'm going to do this a couple of times for you guys. Now, you need to do this on all 4 front corners and all 4 back corners to make sure that everything is going to stay together. Now, of course, you're going to glue it into the card cover, and so it's going to stay together, but just reinforcing it is always a good idea. So you're going to do this on all sides. And even though I left this in here, me fumbling around because this is the first time I ever made it, it still was really quick. I was actually really impressed and excited by how quick it was, because I know I'll keep coming back to this set again and again, especially when you see the results. Like, it's a stunner. This die makes for stunning cards, and that's one thing that I totally love about Scrappy Tails, and why I was so honored and excited to get to join their team, because Sabrina designs 3-dimensional cards. Like, she has a card vase, pop-ups, a pop-up box, shadow box, slimline, things like this. It's just so cool to branch out and do something like this. Now, I could tell right here, whoopsie, I should have trimmed these down a little bit more. If I had trimmed these down a little bit more, they would have fit in the cover just fine. But because I didn't, they're a little bit bigger than my cover. But I'm not starting over because I know I can fix it. And that's why I wanted to show y'all how I made this card. It's not the right way, but let's call it a different way. And it totally worked out. So don't give up, just stay in the game, and usually you can fix your card. So I'm adding my score tape, and then, as Sabrina suggested, add some glue on top. This glue just gives you a little bit of slip and wiggle room so you can get things exactly where you want them. And I love this tip because I usually don't do that, and then I'm left tearing my card apart. Try to get it just right. Okay, so what I did was I lined it up with the back, because that's what I really needed and wanted to be lined up edge to edge and perfectly. I knew I could work with the cover. So all I did was come in, bring in my ruler, and see from edge to covered edge what size of paper I would need to cut down. So I cut my paper down, and I did actually cut it a little bit longer and then fold it over. I just did that so that it would give it a little bit of sturdiness there on that edge where there's not paper. but I also plan on covering the inside too. So now it'll all be the same dimension. You'll see what I mean. So I'm going to glue this down here right on top of my cover. You see, so I have that extra edge there, but I'm not worried about that at all because I'm going to cover it up. And now my card closes perfectly like a little book. So cool. So you can do it the right way or you can do it the different way. All right, so now I'm going to cover up the back of the cover. And I'm also going to cover the inside and the spine. And I didn't use a real heavyweight cardstock. It was like a Michaels cardstock that I used for my the green one for the base. And it's totally fine. It works perfectly for the card. One, because it's easy to score, so I like that with the built-in score lines. And two, because I'm going to layer it up so much, you don't need a super heavy duty card base because I'm adding layers. So I'm adding a layer here. Add a layer to the inside that shadow box, and then I add a layer to the front, a layer to the inside, so it ends up being super sturdy. So there is that. And now the basic construction is done. It stands up beautifully. I'm going to go ahead and do the spine as well, just because. And that is my version of construction for this card. You guys will definitely be seeing more of these on my channel, and I'll just be making them in general because it is so much fun to design and decorate a shadow box. So here's my final products. I'm just going to walk you guys through these. I really love how these came out. So this is what the card looks like from different sides. I went ahead and put some lace on it. You see those swirly dies here on the front? That comes in the die set with this book plate. So with the A7 Book Pop-Up, you get these green swirly dies. It even cuts that plate out there that I did in metallic paper. I just embellished it with some random ephemera and things I had. And then this is how the inside turned out. Lots of fun. Now, I'm just showing you the lace on the inside. It came with these 4-cornered dies, and I really wanted to use my Scrappy Tail butterflies, and I could not find them. I found them today. I'm so excited about that. But yeah, I just decorated the inside. You guys have got to go to Scrappy Tails and see the amazing fairy books and all the cool things. The whole design team is making really beautiful things with these products, and you can too. So definitely go check it out. If this is something that's in your wheelhouse and you'd like to give a try, I would really encourage you to do so. It's striking when you get it all done. Here's the mini album. I'll just do a quick walkthrough. Again, it's got the covered spine. Really simple and beautiful. I made some vintage cello tape there, or scotch tape, and just a sheet of cardstock, pattern paper, and this beautiful assorted leaves die. And here's how I did the inside. I would really love a stamp that says this journal belongs to, because I'd like to put it like in that fake book plate that I made up there. I think that would be really fun. I don't have a stamp like that yet. So here are the pockets. I just added some pattern paper that matched the spine. And of course, this adorable toad. Oh, is that not the cutest? I just love this stamp set. And I love how, just by coloring different ways, you can incorporate it into so many different things. I just think this mini album is so whimsical and sweet. I really hope the recipient will enjoy it. I think she will. had so much fun watercoloring these images too. All the different flowers. Here I made a little grid paper, kind of like almost notepad or journaling spots. I added more lace and my faux vintage tape. And then of course some more of the images down below. Over here I added a few of the flowers that come from that same Fairy Botanicals. I made another pocket. I made another vellum pocket here, and then there's more assorted leaves in the corner with a ribbon tied around it. Just so much fun. I made a quick little book here. This just has like 8 more journaling pages in here, and it fits perfectly in my pocket. So much fun. I can't wait to make some more product or cards and things with these products. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Definitely go over to Scrappy Tails. I'm going to leave them linked below so that you can check out some of the things and check out the blog. There's a whole design team for the blog, and there's so many creative ideas out there. I just want you guys to see it all because I think it's pretty magical. And up here, I'm just showing you that I put in a couple of more sheets of grid paper in each one of these pockets. So there's actually tons of journaling space in this mini album. And a whole lot of love went into making it. Thank you for sharing your time with me. Thanks for checking out this video. Please give me a like, leave me a comment, and I'll see you next time. You guys have a beautiful day. Bye.